I think the quickest thing we could do is to figure out who's actually not a union member in this room, because it wouldn't take much time. It is wonderful. And so, it's our mission to try to ensure that workers are not only included in discussions of trade, investment, and growth, but they're there at the table at the takeoff, not just on the landing. Unfortunately, what we know, and you heard Kelly refer to this, is that in far too many places around this world, workers are not at the table. Even worse, places where working people are denied a decent living, subjected to harassment and abuse, harmed, even killed for simply standing up for their rights. It's pretty basic. We believe that every worker deserves to have their rights and dignity respected. That aligns with our deepest values. It also advances our interests because it's one of the most effective ways to promote broad-based, inclusive economic growth, which ultimately benefits American consumers, workers, businesses, investors. This is, we know it from our history, we know it from our experience, this is what lifts entire societies. Just look at the positive effects of unions, something this group knows better than anyone in the world. Unions raise wages for their members, but also for everyone else. Unions reduce gender and racial pay gaps. That makes societies fairer. Unions increase productivity, since better working conditions mean healthier and more efficient workers. And they help strengthen our democracies, which makes for the United States much better and more reliable partners around the world. For all of these reasons, the United States government has been taking action to promote and defend the rights of working people, both here in the United States, but also around the world. Advocating for the rights of workers and raising labor standards, that is a central part of our diplomacy. It's a central part of our efforts at the Department of State. So, as you heard Kelly say today, President Biden signed a new presidential memorandum on advancing worker empowerment rights and high labor standards globally. And what this does is it formally recognizes that labor rights are key to our national security and to our foreign policy. This is not simply a domestic issue. It is for us a matter of national security, a matter of foreign policy. And it lays out, and I'll just address them very quickly, 5 lines of efforts to proactively integrate and elevate workers' rights around the world. First, we will engage governments, workers, labor organizations, trade unions, civil society, and the private sector around the world to protect and promote respect for internationally recognized labor rights. That means, for instance, that all of our ambassadors, all of the folks running our embassies around the world will engage with workers, with unions, so that their voices are reflected in everything that we do. Second, we will work to hold accountable those who threaten, who intimidate, who attack union leaders, labor rights defenders, labor organizations, including using things like sanctions, trade penalties, visa restrictions, all the tools in our kit. We want to be there for people like Kalpona Adkar, a Bangladeshi garment worker, an activist, who says that she is alive today because the U.S. Embassy advocated on her behalf. When we use our voice, when we use our advocacy around the world, we can make a concrete difference in making sure that those who are trying to advance labor rights are protected and defended. Third, we will strengthen the federal government's capacity to advance worker rights abroad by prioritizing greater job opportunities for employees with labor expertise, training our personnel to know about worker rights, to look for and prevent abuses. Fourth, we will work with governments and multilateral institutions like the United Nations, the G20, to promote